Have you ever asked yourself what the value of pressure is? Well, it's funny because I place a big value on pressure, and a quick little story on what triggered that for me was my first year as a professional athlete. My head coach at the time, I had just pretty much made the team, was in the team meeting room, felt like I had accomplished something, and I did. But I felt like I had finally accomplished, one of my visions and made it as a pro. And in our first collective team meeting, the coach basically said, look to the left, look to the right, and understand at this very moment, I'm currently looking to replace you. And when you want to talk about pressure, that set the marker for me. And what that did was it just laid out a standard and pretty much laid the path for me to approach everything that I did to try to maintain being a professional athlete. Impacted me as an athlete and has now influenced me and my coaching style with all of the athletes and personal training clients that I work with. It's important. Pressure is such a big thing that a lot of us shy away from. It's an intimidating thing, and it's even a scary thing. And for myself, it's been that way. And a lot of people have thought, with myself personally, that, I'm not scared of pressure for whatever reason. And the fact of the matter is I found a way over time to develop myself where I've embraced pressure, and I do look forward to it. That being said, it still is an intimidating thing. But with my coaching style and working with young athletes especially, I do put a lot of pressure on them, but I also reinforce that with tools on how to handle pressure. And I think that's a big part that has made a lot of success with a lot of the athletes that I've worked with, and it's impacted really well. There's different values to pressure: setting outlines, having goals, and continuously being in pursuit of something. That's the way that we're going to make progress in whatever your vision is and what you're trying to achieve. Whether that's changing your body composition, achieving an academic goal, trying to obtain an athletic scholarship, trying to get that job, whatever the case is. I'm going to stick more so towards strength and conditioning because that's the area that I focus on and work with. And we're going to continue this discussion on pressure. One of the ways that I like to apply pressure with the programming and training is lay out very clear expectations and develop a standard. And it's challenging, and a lot of times as a strength coach I can be very nitpicky with a lot of things. And that at the same time, when athletes start to respond really well to that, I've noticed an elevation in their performance in the weight room, which majority of times directly translate to on the field, on the court, on the ice, or whatever the respective sport is. And understand right now, when I'm talking about pressure, it's holding yourself to a standard and creating an outline for yourself to achieve that. Small little goals. I've talked in the past on other videos about the little things and details, and those are parts and components to attacking that big thing that we are all intimidated by, of pressure. When it comes to pressure and handling it, it's important to embrace that pressure. And part of that is setting out big goals, long-term goals, short-term goals, and continuously pursuing those things by small steps each day, each hour, and finding small ways that are things that are achievable, but all of a sudden you look back and you start off, and for everybody that wants to achieve this grand thing, it starts with one step, and that might be for you getting up tomorrow morning and making your bed. It might be a matter of you taking time this weekend to prepare your meals and your nutrition to start your week off correctly, or taking the time to implement your training program and put some numbers there that you want to try to achieve that might today seem not realistic, but all of a sudden you look back and 2 weeks have gone by, 4 weeks have gone by, 6 weeks have gone by, and all of a sudden you're that much closer to what you wanted to do. And it's important to do that and embrace the pressure by taking small steps each day. The same way that I developed the programming with the strength and conditioning, laying out nutrition guidelines for people, it's all of the same stuff in terms of we start week one, put small pieces together with the pursuit of what the end goal is. And the truth is there's no real end goal, regardless of what that is, because as you get closer to what you want to achieve, your challenges, your strengths, your improvements, those things all evolve over time. And as you actually start to get closer to what your initial goal was, you start to actually evolve, and those goals will start to change. And that's part of the beauty in pressure. I'll give you a quick example. When you think of, with a football athlete, and I'll use that experience because at the start I touched on my football experience, and thinking about, the standard across the board is bench pressing 225 pounds for multiple reps. And it may start with a kid that's 14 years old that can't bench press 135 pounds and wanting to one day be able to bench press 225. Well, from 14 years old, you start putting the pieces together, and that's the grand vision. Eventually, over time, if you're consistent, you continue to work, put the small pieces together, that day will come. It might be when you're 16, it might be when you're 18, it might be when you're 21, but all of a sudden you're bench pressing 225 pounds. Then the goal becomes, now you want to put reps into 225, and instead of wanting to just achieve and do it one time, you now want to do it multiple times. And that's just a simple example of, again, putting that big picture of pressure onto yourself, of something that at this time may seem unobtainable, but along the way there's all this growth that's happening while staying consistent and chipping away at what that grand vision is. And that's a very important thing for you to think about, and not shy away from the pressure, but actually switch your mindset and start to embrace the challenge of pressure. So to wrap things up, I want to make sure that this message is delivered, that pressure is this thing that a lot of people shy away from, but if you actually flip your approach to pressure, start to embrace it and not shy from it, and take that challenge on step by step and start to think of whatever that grand vision is for yourself, whether that's body composition change, a strength gain, whatever your priority might be, is continue to embrace the pressure, work towards that, whether that's in the weight room, in the kitchen with your nutrition, in the study hall with your class, whatever those things might be, and just continue to just chip away towards that. And you'll be shocked at yourself when you all of a sudden take a second to look back and reflect how far you've come along the way. And I'm sure every single one of you watching this, whether you think of yourself as being strong or hating pressure or whatnot, it's likely if you take a time right now, reflect on yourself, pressure's probably been a very good thing for you. Thank you for watching.
You know about going home, feeling the pain station. And I am in tune, cause I come from the same station. Sick, blowing the weed, I am the same patient. If you looking for fire, know that the flame waiting. Ghost back, but you should know that, cause I never left.